Welcome back everyone, this is Mondo Allday, back with another video. And in this video, I'll be doing an overview of Impulse. This is from the Flash War storyline. This is the gold label Target exclusive figure. I'll be talking about the figure itself in terms of the articulation, sculpture, and paint, and if it's worth the purchase or not. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button to not support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So, let's take a look at the box. This side, the back, which I really like the art. The other side, top, and bottom. Alright, now let's take a look at the figure outside the box. As always, we do come with the card. This is the front of the card. It looks like the back of the card. It comes with multiple lightning bolts. So here is one of them. They're your typical lightning bolts on there. Just clear. Not much to a yellow on there. Here is another one. Again, they're all pretty detailed. Very lightning bolt-ish per se. Again, they're just clear yellow or gold, however you want to call it. And of course, it comes with a regular stand. Now let's take a look at Impulse. And a mixture on the head sculpture. So I like the head sculpture. I think the head sculpture looks cool. For one, the hair looks really, really cool. I like how you got the light brown, the browns, and dark browns all mixed in. Very stylized hair, which I really, really dig. Head articulation, left, right, very good. Up, down, very good. In terms of the face sculpture, I would say the sculpture design is good, very clean looking. You got that kind of like the spandex on the head. You got the lightning right here too, and I like how it's actually like yellow gold or like mustard color with a little bit of glossy. I like how the lenses are clear. You can see his eyes, which I'll talk about the eyes in a bit. But I also like the smirk on here too. A little bit of a smirk on there. Again, I did get very subtle. The painted lips on there. My issue with this is going to be, I don't think it's my issue, just a lot of issue with this figure, is the eyes. Because if you look at it, the eyes, this one's straight, but this one is kind of inward more. But when you look at it in side view, it looks like it's straight. But when you look at this one, it's straight. But when you look at face forward, one's more in and the other one's kind of straight. And I've actually seen online where people are posting how their Impulse figure is, their eyes are straight, others are very side eyes. So I don't know if it's supposed to be side eyes. It is or isn't. Maybe it's like, every other side eyes or straight eyes. If you have this figure, let me know in the comment section which version of Impulse you have. As you can tell, I got like half. This, when you look at, like I said, forward, the right eye is straight, and then the left eye is almost side. But yet, I don't know. Again, I have no idea to answer that question if it's straight eyes or not. Because again, I've seen people post their multiple different eyes and configurations. So you may want to check that out. If you hate side eyes, kind of like I do, you might have to check it out and see if you have side eyes or not. But nonetheless, so head articulation is good, sculpture design is good, and the paint's good. I'm digging. Shoulder articulation, it's a little stiff right now, but it's good. Bicep, good. Elbows, good. Wrist, good. Torso, good. So upper body, torso articulation, it's good. In terms of the paint, I really, really like the paint. The the sculpture itself is very similar to another figure, which I'll show in a bit. But I really dig it. It's very muscle tone, very slim, slender body type, but it's all about the paint. And I think the paint job looks really, really good. Similar to the comic, it's included in the card. The only downside is, well, actually I'll talk about it in a bit, but the paint, you got that white on there on the arms, and you got the red on here, like maroon. You got a little sculpture design there. Then you got fist. Then you got open hands on the other side. And that's pretty much it. It's just really a paint. And this figure has similar sculpture design to another figure, which I'll show in a bit. But overall, though, I gotta say, it is a good looking upper body Impulse. I really, really think it. Very clean looking. That's just how they look like. This in terms of the Flash. A lot of the Flash have just spandex and they're very clean looking. So overall, though, it's a good, clean looking Impulse figure. I dig it. Leg articulation, good. Knees, good. Ankles, good. And then toes, good. So leg articulation, they're always good as always with McFarlane. And in terms of the sculpture design, similar to the upper body, you just get very muscle tone, very defined muscles. Again, it's just spandex, but it's all about the color. And I like the color. I like the the color palette. I like how it's white. You got the red and you got the burgundy on there too, which looks very, very good. In terms of the feet sculpture, again, it's very, very clean, typical feet. You got a little sculpture design on there on the feet, or in the ankles, I should say. But really, there's not much to this figure. Nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it is what it is, though, man. It's a good, clean looking Impulse figure. And I dig it. Overall, though, what I think about this figure, I like this figure, and I'm gonna say, oh yeah, definitely give it a thumbs up. I think McFarlane did a really good job with this figure. I think the figure looks really, really cool. The paint job looks similar to the comic. The head sculpture looks good. My only gripe is going to be one, the eyes, as mentioned. Some people have side eyes. Some people have straight eyes. I have, from looks of it, make sure one eye is side, the other is straight. Check your Impulse figures, see what you have, and let me know if you have this figure, which version of the eyes you have, straight, side, or both like mine. The only gripe with this figure is the height, because in the comic, he looks like a little kid, but when you see him here, it's almost like he's more of like a young 20-year-old. You see what I mean? Like, look at the difference. This looks like a little kid. This one looks like a 20-year-old, and I wish he was a bit shorter. A lot shorter. Don't get me wrong. I think the height's okay. It's just if it was a little bit shorter, like let's say his top of his head was almost to his neck, I think it would have looked a lot better, more similar to Impulse from the comic. Because when I think of Impulse, I always think of like a young, short kid, and so this is more of like an adult Impulse, which is nothing bad or anything. It's just that's my preference choice. But regardless of that, though, what do I give this figure? With the accessories that it comes with the paint job, very clean looking, I think it's a cool figure. A great addition to the DC Multiverse. I do like the clear on the eyes, on the goggles, I should say. And so it's a good, clean looking figure. And with the accessories that it comes with, for me, I would give it a thumbs up if you're a fan of it. Is this a figure to go out and rush out and get it right away? My honest opinion, no. I would say this is one of those figures, maybe wait for a sale for like 15 bucks. Don't get me wrong, I like the figure. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I think the figure looks cool. But in terms of the pricing, I would say maybe wait. The only downside, which is also kind of a plus side, this is a gold label. But the plus side of it is this is actually a Target gold label. And usually, not usually, but Target's been doing pretty darn well with the exclusive gold label ones. They're not perfect, but they're far, far better than the Walmart exclusive. So if you want to take the risk and maybe wait for a sale, I can kind of see that. Personally, I would maybe wait for a sale, like I said. But even for 20 bucks, I think is an okay price, like a fair price. I just wish it was a little bit shorter. Again, that's just my preference choice for this figure. But nonetheless, so overall, I think the Impulse figure looks cool. The paint job is good. The figure sculpture design is clean. And I dig it, man. I give it a thumbs up. Here we have Wally West, the Walmart exclusive figure, and of course, Impulse from the Joker, or Flash War, Target exclusive gold label. Both good looking figures, but as I mentioned in the height, this is Wally West, more adult. This is Impulse, and again, similar to the comic art, he's a little kid, but here, if you look at the height difference, they're almost the same as height. I would say that, yes, Wally West is a bit taller, but again, Impulse, in my honest opinion, it should have been a little shorter. But nonetheless, so here we go. Here we have Kid Flash from the, I don't remember what storyline. Wow, I blanked out. But this is Kid Flash. I know this is the McFarlane Online Store exclusive figure, and of course, Impulse. And as I mentioned when doing the overview of Impulse, they got a lot of the sculpture design from this particular figure. Just one look at the abdomen. They're pretty much identical. The shoulders are going to be identical. Just look at the thighs. The sculpture design, very similar on here. So essentially, this is just a repaint with the different sculptures per se from this figure. In terms of the differences, one's going to be the paint job, of course, head sculpture, of course, the hands, and also to the boot, it's a little different. This one has that kind of feet, but this one has this kind of sculpture design on it, the feet, and of course the logo. But apart from that, cool looking figure, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you can see that McFarlane used this body, this style of sculpture for this figure. Here we have Barry Allen from the, I don't remember, Dark Knight's Metal storyline, I believe is what it's called. But anyway, so we have Barry Allen and, of course, Impulse. Both cool looking figures. But if you'd ask me which I prefer this kind of look of Flash figures where it's like a very, tight costume, spandex costume type of thing. I like this figure, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a little too much, especially in the arms. It's that arm paint on here, you can see that right there. Nothing wrong with it, but just to me, I don't know why. When I always think of Flash, I always think of like tight spandex like this in the background, like that. So having like all this design, not hating on it, I just prefer something like this. Here we have Captain Cold. This is from the Flash Page Punchers wave. This is the Walmart, not Walmart exclusive. This is from, I know it's a gold label one. I want to say, oh yeah, it's a McFarlane Online Store exclusive figure, the gold label one. And you can see the paint looks really, really good. And of course, Impulse, another gold label figure. Both really cool, very detailed. But again, this is the Page Puncher, so you pay a little bit more, but you get a lot of detail on it. And with this particular gold label paint job, it just looks amazing, and it just stands out. Just look at that paint. Just look at that paint. And here's Impulse, which is nothing bad. It's just, when you look at this paint and this sculpture, and you compare it to this is definitely a much better figure. Last but definitely not least, we have Jay Garrick. This is the classic look from the Jay Garrick Flash wave or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And of course, Impulse. Both good looking figures. I'm definitely looking for the platinum one. I really want the platinum one. I think the platinum one looks a lot better than this one. I still like this figure, don't get me wrong, but I definitely prefer the platinum. The color palette and just the way it looks. But nonetheless, so just showing you how the original Flash looks compared to the futuristic Impulse Flash. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me this figure? To plan on purchasing this figure, leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. That includes an overview of Impulse from the Flash War storyline. This is the gold label Target exclusive figure, and on to the next one.